Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. I am John, and this is my 2002 Volvo V70 with something like 51,000 miles on it. And unfortunately, it's time to get rid of it, and I'm giving you the opportunity to reach out to me if you're interested. So I bought this vehicle about 2 years ago. I'll tell you the story behind it in a minute, but it's time to get rid of it. And before I just take it to Carmax or something like that, I thought I'd give you the opportunity to reach out to me if you're interested. If you live somewhere in the Charlotte area and you can come pick it up, or if you live beyond the Charlotte area and you're interested, reach out to me. I'm going to give you a full tour here today of the outside, the inside. I'll take it on a little drive, but I've done probably 3 or 4 videos with this car. Introduction to when I got it, a review of it, and then I think 2 updates about some of the little problems we've been having with it, and those are still ongoing. And so this, as is, as they say. It's a little bit with a heavy heart that I'm getting rid of this, but right now it's just literally sitting in my driveway. Only drive it once in a while, and I'm paying insurance on it. So I think it's time to part ways with it, with a car that I've always loved the body style and I've always wanted to own one. I finally had an opportunity, and it's a very satisfying car, but it's time to get rid of it. Now, the reason we bought it to begin with is my youngest son, well, he needed a vehicle, and we looked forever. Prices were so ridiculous a couple of years ago, and this happened to come across our way. He had a friend that worked at Carmax. They took this thing in on basically wholesale, and again, it had like 50 some odd thousand miles on it. And we've owned it ever since. Now, it had a couple problems, and since we've owned it, a couple other problems have popped up. And he decided he wanted something that wasn't a station wagon. So here we are, sitting in my drive. Well, it's been sitting in my driveway, costing me insurance every month, and it's time to get rid of it. So let's take a little tour, and I'll show you what it's all about, and then we'll get it on the road. But like I said, if you live somewhere in the Charlotte area and you like these Volvos, you know, I would rather this go to a good home than to just a wholesaler, right? If you have a little bit of wrenching ability, you love this body style, you want something that's, you know, 2002 with relatively low miles on it, but it needs a little bit of love from somebody who's got more time than I do to put into it, reach out to me. I will have my email address not only in my channel description, but in the description of the video, I'll put my email address. Just reach out to me and let's have a conversation about it. So let me show you around inside. All right, so outside you can see it's in pretty darn good shape. I'll admit it is a little dirty. You look right here. Honestly, I wanted to go have it, I tried to go get it cleaned before I did this video, but the wash was broken. So here we are. You know, but in the back, it's got a nice little cover right here that needs to be cleaned. It's still got this. This didn't go missing. Of course, both seats lay down. And no, I'm not hiding any stains or anything underneath there. No dents or anything other than just, you know, the kind of normal wear and tear you'd expect on a 20-some-odd-year-old car. You know, like this, you know, the plastic's faded a little bit. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape body-wise. One thing, this doesn't work anymore. Then I'll give you a quick view on the back seat here. That's my bag of stuff right there, but you can see that's the condition of the leather in there. It's in pretty good shape. Back seat's in better shape than the front seat. So now let's take a look at the front. You know, normal dirtiness right there. A lot of stuff that could be dealt with a good deep cleaning. Obviously, we've got some wear and tear, like right there on the brake handle, and you can see over on the other door, those slats are broken right there on the HVAC vents. But overall, let's get in. That's kind of what we're looking at here. So problems with the car have been relatively few and far between. They've just kind of compounded. One thing is here on the passenger side, back at the back here, right down here below the rear door, that's where the fuel filter is. This car sometimes has a gas odor, and it's really weird. Sometimes it's every morning, and then I won't smell it again for days or months. We've replaced the fuel filter, but it still keeps going. Now, the fuel line actually runs back up in here, and the fuel pumps in the back here. You got to take everything apart back here to get to it, but it doesn't smell inside the car. It's something out here. We haven't been able to track it down, and I haven't paid a mechanic to do it. Then under the hood, a couple of updates. And again, I have these other videos out there. Feel free to go watch those, because I've done updates of the little struggles we've had with the car over our ownership period, and just giving updates here on the channel. So under the hood, there's a couple of things. The first is we actually lost oil. I think this is about 6 months ago now. And we ended up taking it to a mechanic, and it ended up being that. They replaced the oil filler cap, and that fixed it. What was happening was the cap didn't seal, it didn't pressurize, and it was, oil was blowing out the top and down in there. That probably indicates the PCV system needs to be replaced, but other than that, it still runs fine, and it hasn't been losing any oil. The bigger one is this. Let's get in and start the car. If y'all can see that, we've got brake failure, we've got a hazard warning light there, we've got check engine, we've got ABS, we've got basically every light on the dash. Now, we did have this diagnosed, and it's good news and it's bad news. The good news is it's relatively easy to fix. That's where the computers are. There's 2 ECMs in there. Actually, they've got different names, but what it was diagnosed as is the ECM has gone bad. The problem is, my estimates were over $2,500, okay, if they could find one. Now, I've done some research, and there's a big question. The question is, number one, you can find an ECM, and they're somewhere like $250, $350, something like that. And it really is simple. You pop it out and you pop it back in, but there's additional information that says they have to be specifically programmed. But I can't get clear answers on it. So what I've decided to do is not do anything. Everything still works on the car, just all the lights are lit up. At least that's what I've been told, and I haven't found anything not working. So I decided not to go ahead and replace it because I've got so many questions. Do I buy a $300 unit, plug it in, and everything's fine? Or is there a programming, a mapping that needs to happen? I haven't been able to find a clear answer on that. Ironically, the people who try to sell those tell me it needs to be mapped, but not all of them do. So just full disclosure, that's the problem. You've got every warning light on the dash, but it seems to be running. Even the struts still hold it up. So let me hook up the window mount. Let's take a quick drive and we'll finish this up. All right, so driving the V70, as they say. A surprisingly satisfying drive. I mean, it's not a sports car by any stretch, but it's got some pickup. It's comfortable. It's quiet. I said in my review of the vehicle, as you spend some time with it, it feels like a really, really buttoned down Buick, honestly. And I still hold to that. It's an old car, but it feels pretty good. Got a 5-cylinder engine rattling around under there, light turbo, gives it some pump. It's very satisfying. I'm sad, honestly, to be getting rid of it, but it makes sense. My wife and I have talked about it. It makes the most sense in the world. And, you know, just right now it's just, sorry for the wind noise if you can hear the AC. AC blows cold, but it's just sitting in the driveway and I drive it every once in a while. It's not my main vehicle, so it's time to get rid of it and open up. And most importantly, I really do mean what I say. I could just take this to Carmax and dump it off. I don't really want to deal with the nonsense I've heard about selling cars on Facebook Marketplace, for example. And I know there's a passionate fan base out there of people who really like not only Volvos, but this generation of Volvos. Across the world, people respect this vehicle. And this one, I'm trying to be upfront about it, it needs a little love. And I have thought about keeping it, but I'm afraid that with my schedule and what I do, and I'm not a renter, that I just wouldn't be able to keep up with it. I wouldn't be taking care of it the way I think it needs. And that's why I really want to find somebody who's got a soft spot for these, preferably locally, and who would take care of it, love on it, and who's been looking for one of these without a horrific amount of miles on it. Now, I showed you earlier when I gave you a shot of the dashboard, it says 51,831 miles on it. That doesn't sound right, but I can't get it to change to anything else, so I've got to stick with that right now. I thought it had a little bit more than that, but 24-year-old car as I'm recording this, and 50 some odd thousand miles. It just needs a little TLC and some Febreze. I will say, you know, again, this isn't a sports car. This isn't one of the hopped up versions. It's more satisfying to drive than my my Accord in some ways. All right, guys, so that's the end of the test drive, and like I said, I want this to find a home. That's important to me. So if you're interested, please reach out to me via email. Let's have a conversation about the situation, and we'll see if we can come to an accord. And honestly, I'll probably wait a couple of weeks after releasing this video on YouTube before I make another decision about if I have to just take it somewhere. But I'm not ready to do that right now. So, guys, I appreciate you being here. Let me know if you have any questions.